haunted. I like
Drew's
thinking about that
haunted
guy.
by the postman.
No, because you say it with when you first told that story, you're like, cool, dodo, and now you say cool like that. Because maybe I didn't notice that's how you said cool. Maybe you adopted it, but every time you're like, cool. I just play dope.
It's a punctuated cool. I acknowledge what you said, and I acknowledge its coolness.
It's cool.
It's cool.
I totally hear it.
You shouldn't have told me this, because now I will fuck with you every chance I get. It's like, don't say it. Cool. No, it's in my head. No.
I need a trigger warning so I don't play do in my head.
Not a trigger warning, a dough warning.
A dough warning? Oh, man.
With Homer Simpson right on it.
Oh, no. Uh-oh.
Anyway, welcome back to Whistle While You're Dork.
Is that Whistle While You're Dork?
Whistle While You're Dork. Whistles. Yeah.
Whistle While You're Dork is whistling.
Yeah, that's our spin-off show. So tune in Thursdays at 9.
In which one of us is the dork and the other one is property of the dork?
Well, me, obviously. I'm the host. You're just here.
That's true. What are we drinking today, Brandon?
I guess we're drinking. I don't know. You made it. You made these drinks. Do tell.
I did mess up. I have to make a correction. I'm sorry. Mm. It would be the dork that is property of the other person that's not a dork in that show.
Mm.
I feel like I keep leading off these shows more frequently than not with just a glaring grammatical error.
Brandon, what you meant to say was, apostrophe S.
See, that can be the segment right before word of the week. Grammatical fuck up of the week. It'll just come
Drew
naturally.
Holds up
really.
the New York Post and is like, look, it's right here.
We don't even have to announce it. It'll just happen more often than not. These drinks are called Piece of Ass.
Cool.
We should come up with... You fuck. Did you even intend that?
Nope. Nope. Nope.
We should give it a different name, though. It doesn't have to be Piece of Ass. I don't think Piece of Ass is that popular.
How about Amber Delight?
Yeah, actually, it does look pretty amber. Amber Delight. Can't tell if that's neat or gross.
Well, depends what amber you're referring to, I guess.
I think amber, and I think, like, insects preserved over millions of years.
Jurassic Park, yeah. When I think amber, I do think Jurassic Park, but I also think of the color of maple syrup. I mean, there is darker maple syrup. That's more of like a dark brown. To me, the best maple syrup is a nice amber. Let's get... in fact, believe it or not, I'm gonna have two high on knowledges this week.
Oh shit!
Because the syrup just reminded me of something. So my first high on knowledge, I'll relate to the syrup.
Wait, hold on. You didn't do your sound effect for the segment high on knowledge.
Oh yes. Let's get high on knowledge, guys.
Oh, phew.
I haven't been doing it, but okay. The sound effect stays. In advertisements for diners, maybe Denny's, maybe IHOP, you're gonna have pancakes, and traditionally pancakes are glazed with maple syrup. But maple syrup is expensive because it's a sugarous commodity that is only sold in like the Adirondacks, Vermont, and Canada. So to save money, what they use in ads instead of maple syrup is motor oil. So they just glob it on there. Same color. Just about the same color, but yeah. Motor oil on pancakes.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised at all. That's interesting.
Drew's like, I thought my last IHOP order tasted somewhat fishy. They must have used their floor model.
That's what happens when you put an IHOP next to a Jiffy Lube, man. Like, oh man, we really shouldn't keep the motor oil and the syrup right next to each other.
Might get confusing.
So I was like, who pranked my ride with syrup?
But my actual high knowledge is actually a bit of a story. It's a historical story that goes back almost 100 years. So when they were executing people with the electric chair, like just starting out in the early 1900s, with Edison and other people had harnessed the power of electricity, and now they're able to pump it through people to deliver what was supposed to be a quote-unquote more humane death for those convicted of capital crimes. There was a gentleman in Buffalo, New York, who had committed a murder and was being sentenced to death by electric, and was surely going to be sentenced to death by electric chair. And the way they used the electric chair in those times was using a direct current pumped through, several wires that would, fry you and stop your heart and all that. As opposed to an alternating current, which is a current that goes back and forth as opposed to just straight on in a closed circuit. So Thomas Edison, when he was developing his electrical inventions and his power grid ideas and basically founded what is today General Electric, he put all his money on direct current, everything, like, this is how electricity goes, this is how it should be used. Who cares if a circuit breaks and then the whole power goes off? DC is the better way to go. His competitor was Westinghouse, who used alternating current in their power grids and in their inventions. And what ended up happening was Edison, I think, got wind of this capital case in Buffalo, and he ended up bankrolling the criminals' legal expenses and bad talking the means of punishment, saying that the state was going to use alternating current to kill this guy, that alternating current was bad, that DC is humane and it's not being used to kill people in these most savage of ways, blah blah blah, trying to make AC look bad. He bankrolled him. He paid all his legal expenses. I forget the end result, but I'm pretty sure the guy was still sentenced to death by electric chair, and the electricity system we use to power our homes today is AC based. So tough luck, Edison, you scheming, conniving businessman, you.
There are 2,000 ways to be a fucking jerk. Just have to find the right way.
Exactly. That's a direct quote from Thomas Edison.
And that's a great transition into word of the week.
Is it really?
No.
Oh.
The word of the week this week. Brandon, have you heard of the word munificent?
I've heard of the word maleficent.
It's not the proper noun. Well, no, I guess that's also malevolent.
Malevolent.
But maleficent, I believe, is not actually an adjective. It sounds like it should be.
Hurts her name. I don't think it's...
I know, but it sounds...
Maleficent.
Malevolent, maleficent.
New tongue twister.
Malevolent, maleficent, malevolent, maleficent, malevolent, maleficent, malevolent, maleficent.
I'm in a sketch comedy group in school, and I'm going to totally pitch that idea to them. That'll be the best.
A tongue twister?
Well, yeah, we do tongue twisters to warm up our vocals.
Oh, it's a warm-up. I thought that was going to be the main act.
No.
Hey, guys, what if we say malevolent, maleficent the whole time?
No, the warm-up voices, like unique New York, or Irish wristwatch.
Toy boat. Red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather.
Use that too.
I've spent a fair amount of time warming up my mouth, though. Alcohol is not great for it.
No.
Well, there's so many conflicting things. Sometimes my mouth will be too saliva-y, and so I try to, how do you dry out your mouth? And most people have a problem with your mouth being dry, so all these tips are, here's how to make your mouth more wet. Like, no! Just put fucking water in there.
Here's how to make your mouth more wet. Step 1. Do you have a girlfriend or female significant other?
That's true. Or access to genitals.
Regardless of male or female preference.
So, munificent is very generous. Used in a sentence, that old lady was very munificent to offer me her genitals so my mouth would be less dry.
Thanks, Grandma.
Yes. Munificent vaginal usage.
Yeah.
So munificent, let's see if we can
See if we can...
slip that into the podcast.
Yeah.
Slip a finger.
And maybe I'll notice this time.
Oh, and there's another contest.
Like, will Brandon notice Drew talking, or will he ignore him?
It's okay. Hail, I think, is a more deceitful word of the week to
I
squeeze
suppose
in a
so.
conversation. Munificent, I think you're gonna
hail's,
notice.
one syllable versus, a multi-syllable word like that.
Munificent really makes itself known when you use it.
It does. All right, guys. Let's go right into it. It's time for our Fuck Yeah This Week. This is our recurring segment where we talk about some minor thing that happened in the past few days that marginally, positively improved our lives or our experiences. Do you have something?
Next time we do Fuck Yeah This Week, we should do it in the middle of our topic.
In the middle, right in the middle.
Right in the middle of our topic, but we'll have the theme music in a normal spot this week.
Okay. Just to mess with them.
Yeah, nothing weird.
To mess with their messing with them.
Yeah, nothing weird about it at all. Definitely, I won't do anything weird. I promise.
He says this now, and then he edits it in, at the end of the video.
No, it'll be completely normal. You can trust me. I mean, listeners, isn't this the face of someone you can trust?
Listeners.
My fuck yeah this week is a little tame. But there's an open bar at a grad party that I went to.
Excellent.
It was excellent because I had quite a bit of drinks. And at one point, I really wasn't there. I wasn't...
Like mentally?
Super drunk.
Uh-huh.
Like I was hoping I would be. Mm-hmm. Just probably for the best because I had a very important film shoot the next day. But I got my money's worth.
It was an open bar!
Yeah, I paid absolutely nothing. But I fastened a balloon to my head just because I felt like it. It wasn't a decision made out of drunkenness. It's just something I would do. I have a feeling I've done it in your presence probably at some point.
Can't say that you have, but yeah, go on.
I mean, we do have a 10-year history.
We do.
You'd think at some point a guy would have tied a balloon to his head.
Were you at my grad party?
I don't know. Was I?
I can't remember.
What was your grad? I know I didn't like going to grad parties.
The day of my grad party was after, I think, commencement, and then it rained a lot, and then Eric, Alex, Tommy, and I played a 2-on-2 Yu-Gi-Oh! Match in my basement for like an hour.
Talking 2011, right?
2 hours, yeah. June 2011.
It was in June?
Yeah. Day after commencement.
I must have missed it for some reason. I don't know why.
Oh.
It's weird that I missed it. I just don't have any memory.
Drew was just such a shitty friend. Who knew?
Was it at your house?
Yeah.
Yeah, I must have been being a shitty friend.
Yeah.
No,
Anyway.
there were probably a lot of things going on that day. Well, that was the worst weekend of my life, of course. So what was it, Saturday evening or Friday evening?
Saturday evening.
Saturday evening, I believe, is when I saw Cars 2.
Oh.
With my family, because I think my family and I were celebrating. And I wanted to die, naturally.
Yeah.
It might have been Friday evening, though. I don't know. But yeah, just be glad that I didn't go to your grad party, because that's literally the worst weekend of my life. You don't want your grad party stained.
No. You weren't there, and my girlfriend wasn't, and it was totally forgettable.
Yeah, well, I've been there. You didn't even... I don't think you went to that one party I threw. Where we did so much promotion for it. It was my third.
Oh, no, I did.
You were?
You got the bouncy bounce, right?
Yep. The Wrecking Ball bouncy bounce. You remember how sad and desolate that grad party was.
Oh,
it was
the
fascinating.
The Schadenfreude.
Like fucking 5 people there. Like, well, we can watch TV. As the bouncy bounce just sits out there vacant.
This is at your old house. That bouncy bounce is fun.
No. This I see how you're confused, as I have thrown 3 grad parties.
Yes.
It was the 3rd grad party. The one that was in 2013.
The 3rd one, yes.
That had a wrecking ball. Because there were 2 bouncy bounces.
I remember the wrecking ball. I remember the first one.
The first one was a sports theme, so it had a net.
It was a long jungle gym type one, right?
It was long, but not quite a jungle gym. It had like 2 basketball hoops, and then it had a volleyball net.
Yeah.
It was cool.
And
it was a lot of fun. And then we went on it in the rain. That was a really good one.
That was fun.
But my rule of thumb, what annoyed me, I wasn't even going to throw a grad party, honest to God, because I didn't know this until I started going to a few, you went there and there were friends, which was nice, but then all their family was there.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I don't want to fucking talk to them. It just makes it so
You wouldn't have liked my family.
odd. It's not that I don't like them, it's that I don't know them, and it's just this odd hodgepodge. So for me, I devised a plan with my friend at the time, who also wasn't going to throw a grad party. I was just ranting, saying, like, if you're going to throw a grad party, you should separate it. You should have family over first, they leave, then friends come over. I'm like, wait, well, why don't we do that? And so we did. And then we threw 2 more the year after that. And we really publicized the 3rd grad party.
Yeah, you
but
did.
it went nowhere, and I had grand plans. We were going to graduate the same year and throw like a big
fourth
big
one.
finale grad party, but
And then shit happened.
well, I mean, no one came to the 3rd one. Honestly, I like to think that
Wasn't it like 10 of us? I feel like 10 of us.
it was at one point there was a strong 14, but it only lasted about 45 minutes.
Strong 14.
It's not a lot, really. And for a majority of the very, very long party, there were just 5 or 6. And it was
Anywho,
it was brutal.
you tied a balloon to your wrist or your head?
It's my forehead.
To your forehead.
Yes. And I walked to go to the bathroom and I passed by my mom. My mom goes, "See, this is what happens when you have 3 Long Island iced teas." Now, 1 is not the result of Long Island iced teas. But the real fuck yeah this week comes when I whisper into my mom's ear, 6. And just the consternation on her face. Like, as I slip into the bathroom and duck down so the balloon doesn't get hit.
This happens when you have 3 Long Island iced teas. 20.
They weren't making them right, though. If I had real
Yeah.
Long Island iced teas, I would have been dead. My mom would be, "This is what happens. You die."
Oh, have I told you this? In Ireland, I don't know if other bars do it too, but they have, and I'm going to Ireland in a couple of weeks, so I'm really excited about this. They have, at some of these bars, a Long Island iced tea tap. It's like sponsored by Captain Morgan.
Oh, they
You just,
bottle
like-
it, too.
I mean, yeah, we've seen that. The Captain Morgan bottled stuff in a handle and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But yeah, this is tap. I'm like, it tastes horrible, but man.
Yeah, I imagine
what
it
a
would not
birthday
taste that
that
great.
was. Yeah, my friend Nick bought me 3. He was nice of him.
Nice of him to give you a low budget Long Island iced tea.
Well, it was in euros, so it was actually really expensive.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
My fuck yeah this week is I don't know if you are aware of the show known as Stranger Things.
I am.
You are?
Yes.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
I like the part.
Yeah, I think, in my personal opinion, it is the best Netflix original to date. I know there's a huge following for House of Cards. I like House of Cards a lot too. Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt is really good. So's Master of None. So's, I guess, aspects of Orange is the New Black. In my personal opinion, I really love Stranger Things.
Stranger Things is great, but you gotta admit, it's probably trumped by All Hail King Julian Exiled.
Yeah, that great Madagascar spinoff that was on Nickelodeon, and then
Let me explain. It's a sequel series to a spin-off of a spin-off.
wow, that's like a double Scorpion King.
It's amazing. It's amazing that it exists.
Anywho, so the show is set in the early 80s, and while my father's been getting into the Netflix series, I told him watch House of Cards. He watched House of Cards. We watched House of Cards together this most recent season. I watched The Crown this past year. I said, you should watch The Crown. It's about Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth and her early tenure as queen throughout the 50s and 60s. I said, oh, it's good. And he liked it. And I wanted to go 3 for 3. I said, Dad, I know it's a little after your time. I know you're in high school at this point, but you're a geek at heart. I know, because I've seen old photos of you and your glasses. And I really think you should watch Stranger Things, because I think it encapsulates the zeitgeist that was the early 80s sci-fi, fantasy, culture, and aesthetic so much. And I know you're a sucker for that. I know you're a huge Star Wars fan and the like, and video games, so you should definitely check it out. And he's like, okay. I come home 2 days ago. What was I came home. I think I was coming home after recording one of these episodes.
Yeah.
And I come home. My sister's friends over, like they're talking to my mom in the foyer, but I walk right in, and you've been to my house. I walk right into the family room, and right on the big screen, I see it's the scene where
Spoilers.
It's from episode 2. It's where they're looking at the missing photo.
Oh,
picture.
soft spoilers.
Yeah, soft spoilers. And I immediately think like, oh, Stranger Things. And like, who's watching Stranger Things? Like, oh, my dad's on the couch watching Stranger Things. I'm like, oh, what'd you think of it? He's like, it was weird how he responded. I said, oh, what'd you think of it? He's like, the jury is still out. I mean, it was the second episode after all, but he's like, the jury is still out. But I like it so far. I'm like, oh, right. Then you're gonna love it. That's great.
Cool.
So yeah.
Cool.
Do. And that's it for Fuck Yeah this week. So let's get into our main topic, the one that you've all been waiting for so long. We know it's just been awful.
Our review of the last podcast.
Hooray! I think that my delivery on the spoiler line could have been a little more better timed. No, we are going to finally end the Disney Pixar debate. This may take a little bit longer than usual, but we will try to make it work.
All right, so
just to recap, we left off my Robin Hood versus your Incredibles, Incredibles 1, point you, and then my Hunchback of Notre Dame beat your Toy Story 3, point me. So now we have 3 more films to debate. And just a reminder how this structure is going to work. We can only talk about the other person's film, first by acknowledging its strengths, but then by acknowledging its weaknesses, and then we come to an objective consensus after we've said our piece.
And we just have an order of 5 random movies, basically,
Yep.
and we're playing them as if they're just pre-shuffled cards in a game of war.
Exactly.
So, I guess...
Come on and gather round and come on and gather round and come on and gather round. It's time to Fuck Yeah this week. Yes.
Brandon, you can present your movie first.
My first? All right, my movie is Walt Disney's Fantasia. Yeah.
Pull this shit.
Sorry, dude. What's your measly movie?
Measly. It's Finding Nemo. It's not measly.
Okay. Do you want to start?
Fantasia is a very good film.
You take that back.
It is, in terms of...
See, that was meant as a compliment, but I can see through your lies.
Obviously, the animation is very, very good.
For the record, I want you to finish. For the record, Fantasia is not only my favorite Disney movie of all time, but also my favorite film of all time. It's near and dear to my heart. We'll see what Drew makes of it.
I remember Disney basically disowned the movie because people didn't like it at the time, and you went, oh, I must have fucked up. I guess I gotta make a better movie. Like,
And then he
oh,
made
Disney.
Dumbo.
Disney's got no balls. Right. So that concerns me, I guess. You would hope that Disney would recognize his artistry where it exists, but I guess that's more a qualm with Disney himself. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure specifically how innovative it was to animate to music. I'm no historian. It seems like something that would have... It was definitely done before. I mean, they were doing short films all the time, and basically silly symphonies. Mm-hmm. It was essentially the exact same thing.
But did that have dialogue?
A lot of them didn't.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yeah. So, I think it may, and again, I'm not sure, it may be a little erroneous to say Fantasia was like the first movie of its kind, really, but I think it certainly made more of an impact than any other movie that might have tried to do the same thing.
Oh, yeah. Compare that to Snow White. There's debate whether Snow White is really the first feature-length animated film. I think there was like something out of Argentina or elsewhere in South America that technically was fully animated.
I wouldn't doubt it.
But like predated Snow White by like a year or something like that.
I mean, Disney didn't even draw Mickey Mouse, so who knows what else he lied about.
Yeah. How's that for knowledge, guys? Yeah.
Oh, that should have been their high on knowledge. But, yeah. It was all started by a mouse that I didn't make.
America.
It's such an embarrassing phrase when you know he didn't make it.
Yeah.
Like, you go into the Walt Disney Museum knowing the knowledge they're not including. You're like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
Like, come on, are you kidding me? But, anyway.
Walt Disney, the animator Thomas Edison.
In a lot of respects, he was a good guy, but he certainly had his moments of Edisoning.
He was a businessman.
Edisoning.
Actually, I saw this during the Some Jerk with a Camera Small World episode, and you probably know where I'm going with this, but Sherman Brothers, who compose It's a Small World, were saying like, yeah, we wrote this song, it's kind of shitty, we're gonna donate all the royalties from it to UNICEF, to the United Nations Children's Fund. Walt pulls the car over, and this is from the Sherman Brothers, who were there to witness it. Walt pulls the car over and says, "You are not spending a dime of those royalties on like charity or something like that." And I'm like, wow, what an asshole. But hey,
What a businessman.
what a thoughtful businessman that Walt Disney is.
But, admittedly, it's been a while since I've seen Fantasia, but I understand its impact maybe more so than the actual story itself. And there are obviously some very memorable things. Sorcerer Mickey is a huge thing.
Yeah.
I think that was very inventive, very iconic. Just, it in an interesting way, it's a lot like the Pixar lamp. Just the idea of just taking an ordinary object and animating it.
And by ordinary object in the Fantasia cuts, you mean like
The broom.
Oh, the broom.
The brooms.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like the hat or something.
Yeah, the brooms
Yeah.
and the lamp. I think they're very... It's a respectable task, just take an object and make it come to life. I think it's a very old-fashioned but important animation principle. I think a lot of animation students have probably done something with a flour sack. It's a very traditional thing. So...
What is your favorite segment? If you can remember.
It's tough. I don't remember all of them. I have vague memories. It's probably Sorcerer Mickey. Sorcerer Mickey.
Sorcery Mickey.
Maybe
Mickey,
I am
the
in my
D&D
cups.
character.
The last one with the devil, I think he had more of a name.
The Night on Bald Mountain. Do you prefer just the Night on Bald Mountain as its own, or do you prefer the Ave Maria?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know it has that long ending.
I don't think Ave Maria is that long.
You would know better than me.
I think they're about the same length.
Maybe it fell long because it was so much slower compared to what
It is.
happened
Oh,
before.
it is like a largo tempo. It's like it's even slower than Schubert's like actual Ave Maria. But and not to like step on your feet or anything, but in the Ave Maria sequence, like those characters, like those are microscopically animated.
I imagine it was
unprecedented.
beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember it. I remember watching it. It was over a decade ago, but I just remember feeling this beautiful. This beautiful stuff. So I guess that's a good way to describe it. It's a beautiful movie.
Okay.
It's good stuff.
Now, I guess I guess I'll just go into what I like about Finding Nemo.
Yeah.
The colors, for like whenever I think Finding Nemo, the first and foremost thing that comes to my mind is just the colors. Like when Nemo's on his class trip and he's flocking over the Great Barrier Reef. Rest in peace. Apparently, he was declared dead recently.
Oh my god!
So Finding Nemo.
How recently?
They keep sharing this story that's like the Great Barrier Reef, blah 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 to blah blah blah. like however many thousands of years ago to now, like pollution has like tainted it somewhat. But I'm like, if you still go there, like I'm sure it's gonna be like still magnificent, but I guess a lot of its vegetation and animal life have died off.
Yeah, pollution is doing horrible things to it.
South Pacific.
I'm surprised it's already dead. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's marine biologists declared it dead, I guess. So
Holy shit, that's
so
actually
Finding Nemo was a great
it's horrific.
2003 time capsule for the Great Barrier Reef. Things I like about it. So yeah, that sequence is colorful where Marlin's looking for him. The shadows when they're confronting the angler, the jellyfish, even the city of Sydney was very, bright and vibrant and sunny. Voice acting great with, of course, Ellen DeGeneres, who I find maybe a little overexposed as Dory, but, Dory is what introduced me to her, and I think she's a great comedian, great.
Yeah, and I don't think Dory was overused, really, in Finding Nemo, I wouldn't say.
Maybe in Finding Dory.
That's
your fourth movie, isn't it?
I didn't pull that one out.
What else can I say? The beginning, very tragic Pixar story, with, Coral being eaten by the barracuda and all the children. And like just, a single father raising his son, at the edge of the Great Barrier Reef. And then, I guess something I think is there, maybe it's not expanded upon enough, is that Marlin has lost everything, which is why he loves Nemo so much and is so overprotective of him. That being said, I really don't particularly care for Marlin as a character, but I'll get into that when I get into criticisms. Positive things. Just knowing, Finding Nemo is one of the few Pixar movies I've seen like everything on. I remember I was homesick for like 2 days in middle school, and I had the disc 2 of Finding Nemo, and I watched all of the making of. I watched the sculptures, the modeling, how they directed the voice actors,
great
how
DVD, man.
How they produced all this environment. Like before Merida's hair, like I'm not sure that Pixar embarked on such a monumental task, and then it became the highest grossing animated film of all time, beating out The Lion King.
For a long time.
For a long time. And then, what surpassed it? Do you know?
Toy Story 3.
Up didn't?
No.
Oh.
I think Shrek 2 actually might have surpassed Finding Nemo.
Didn't those come out this... Oh, no, Shrek 2 is 2004. You're right. Yeah.
I think it really probably... I don't remember. Finding Nemo is definitely at least in the top 2, though. But Toy Story 3 crushed it. Then Frozen crushed Toy Story 3.
Right, yeah, Frozen.
Then Minions. I don't think Minions...
Oh, God, don't tell me.
They're high up there, but I don't think they
damn.
crushed Frozen. I'm pretty sure they're still behind Frozen.
Yep.
But they did really well, and I get it. And I don't agree with it, but I get it. I'm happy Frozen did so well. That was really unexpected.
That knocked me off my socks.
Well, what knocked me off my... Okay, so Box Office Mojo is where I go. And sometimes they'll just have glaring errors. I remember at one point, I look at the all-time worldwide box office, and Get Smart is like at number 5. And I go, what? And it blew my mind.
No.
I'm looking everywhere, and I realized after a bit of research, this is just a huge glitch. Like, there's no way Get Smart made that much money. But then... It happened a couple other times, and I saw Alice in Wonderland from Tim Burton was at number 5. I'm like, oh, there's another glitch. Except it wasn't.
No, it's not.
I was, what?
This is the first one, Alice in Wonderland.
The 2000...
Not Through the Looking Glass.
2010 one.
Yep, the 2010 one.
And I remember just being confounded.
Flabbergasted.
I cannot believe it made that much money. Oh, how unprofessional of me. And I was bothered because I thought Toy Story 3 is coming out. I hope it managed just to make more money. And it did. That's the only time I cared about how much money a Pixar movie made. I'm like, you gotta beat this shitty Alice in Wonderland movie. Please, God, don't let China win. You know that's why he made all that money. It had to be China.
Yeah.
Who else was watching it?
Same thing with the Transformers movies. Wait, who else is watching Alice in Wonderland? All the girls who go to Hot Topic.
They don't have enough of a population.
You say that, but look at Twilight. Anyway. Positive things about Finding Nemo.
You crunch ice in the middle of that swallow?
Yes, I did.
That was interesting.
The fish in Dr. Sherman's fish tank, I thought there was a great camaraderie among them. A camaraderie I haven't really seen outside of maybe the Toy Story movies in Pixar.
You know, I will say this, Monsters University, I think is not an amazing movie, but I thought it had surprisingly good camaraderie with the characters in it.
Do you think so? Who are you talking about?
The fraternity.
Oh, the fraternity.
I felt it was
yes.
the first time. I remember thinking it's the first time since Finding Nemo I really felt that there were a lot of characters like really getting along like that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, think about it. You have Incredibles, not so much. Cars, not so much. Ratatouille, Wall-E, Up, Toy Story 3. I guess you can count it, but you know, you kind of want to lump it with Toy Story 1.
Yeah.
Then everything else, man.
Yeah.
You know.
So yeah, just knowing that there was a whole ocean, and if I can compare this to Fantasia, like Fantasia was like a labor of love for Walt Disney Studios, and I'm sure, and Finding Nemo must have been just the same, because that was their fifth feature. And like, you know, they'd done some good stuff with Toy Story 1 and 2. They'd made some classics. A Bug's Life, debatably whether, you know, they've really succeeded with that. Monsters Inc., you know, several people see it, but then Finding Nemo, everyone saw. And I think that's really what propelled them as a film studio. And to that end, you know, clearly they struck a chord with an audience, and that's to be commended.
The success of Finding... I remember what made me first have interest in Pixar as a studio was an article that my parents read just talking about the unprecedented success of this movie. And I remember just being amazed, going, wow, that many people like this animated movie? That's great. Because as a kid, of course, I liked animated movies, but the fact that it wasn't just a great movie, but it felt so important. Like that even my parents went, well, we have to see this. That was inspiring to me. I went, who are these people that can make a movie that transcends just being for kids and is just an important thing? And so I saw the movie. I remember going to the bathroom in the middle of it. I think it was the jellyfish scene, and I couldn't believe I did that. But it was when The Incredibles was coming out that I really started to hype that.
Yeah.
And I hope that it continues. It's been waning a bit with Cars 3, but, you know, that's a story for another time.
We'll do a Pixar episode. Sure. We can talk about Pixar.
We could.
At a different time, though. All right. So, try to tear Fantasia to shreds. I know you won't.
There's nothing to tear. I wouldn't even complain. Oh, there's no story, because it doesn't need one.
That's the biggest complaint, though, and I hate that.
It doesn't need one. It just needs to be feature-length in order to be a feature-length movie. I don't care if it's a bunch of mini-movies, which is what it is. You know, each miniature thing has a story. I mean, yes, there's sort of a lack of character development, because obviously if it stuck with the same characters for 90 minutes, you would have gotten to know them a little bit better. Same thing in terms of theme, in terms of emotions, and things like that. But it was a very atmospheric movie, and while I think you could argue that you can make a movie feel atmospheric and have character development and have thematic development, I think there was something about the style in which Fantasia presented itself where if it had been one thing for 90 minutes, it wouldn't have felt the same. I think there was something sort of beautiful about all these different stories with different pieces of music just presenting themselves one after the other, and then having this really grand finale and just having all of that different stuff hit you in one gradual wave. I think that's just a different experience that you couldn't get if you decided to develop characters and develop theme a little bit more. I just think it's a very different kind of movie that deserves to exist. So I can't knock it for that. There's really nothing I could genuinely want to knock the movie for, except Walt Disney not having the balls to defend it. I mean, I get it. Well, that's the thing. He's super driven by money. Mm-hmm. So I sure he's a genuine artist, but I think the finances sort of clouded his judgment at some points. He shouldn't have assumed that it was a failure just because people thought it was a failure. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But hey, can I nitpick? Oh, Fantasia is an amazing title. That's such a great word.
Fantasia, or as Deems Taylor says in the opening intro, welcome to this new form of entertainment, Fantasia. I'm like, fuck.
It probably wasn't a great business decision.
The thing is, I think he even said, like, in an introduction to another segment, and now in the second half of our Fantasia program, I was like, you just said the other word! You stupid! Whatever. Deems Taylor's amazing.
He made Snow White, then he made Pinocchio, and then already went, let's do something completely crazy! Which, it really wasn't. It really wasn't. No. Because preceding those two, really Snow White and Pinocchio were crazier than Fantasia in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. Because people associated the Disney brand with these pieces of animation that went to music. Now, given it, I think... No, actually, in Silly Symphonies, I think the music already existed. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure. I don't think the music was written for the animation. Mm-hmm. But regardless, it's the same effect. Yeah. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, all I can say about Fantasia is it's probably a little overrated in terms of originality. Mm-hmm. Not that I hate calling things original or unoriginal, because, you know,
who cares?
Art is cyclical by nature. That's just how it works. Mm-hmm. But I can't knock it, man.
You heard it here first, folks. Fantasia is perfect, and that's it. No. If I can briefly knock Finding Nemo,
go for it.
Because it sounds like I'm going to win this one. Even from my first viewing, I've never liked Marlin really as a character. Like, they didn't even really do much with him in Finding Dory. Like, I'd even argue they've regressed his character, but
don't focus on Finding Dory.
I'm not gonna focus on Finding Dory in this context. I don't know. To me, I get why he's so overprotective of Nemo, but I also don't get why he's so jubilant with Coral, and then he turns to this awkward, like, antisocial, like, type person. And I never got, like, how the arc he goes through, like, transforms him, like, as a person when he's talking to the other dads at, like, the end of the movie. He definitely goes through an arc. I will say that, like, when Dory confronts him, he's like, hey, I can do this, and, like, I can talk to this whale, and he looks at her injuries, and he sees, oh, yeah, you were stung because of my stupidity and not trusting you, and blah, blah, blah. Like, that's a good growth moment. But overall, like, his motivation, I get his motivation for wanting to keep his son safe. I don't get why he is the way he is in all other respects.
I would agree he's not the strongest character. I think his arc in general, according to what I remember from Andrew Stanton, is he became super paranoid and afraid and very protective, and I think that manifested itself in his confidence. I think in terms of telling a joke, he became very nervous about it, and I think in learning to let things go, he was able to become more confident with himself and with life in general.
You mean let things go, like put confidence in his son? Kind of, do you mean?
Well, I think anyone can go through life worrying about everything. I mean, we can die at any second. We really can. And there are many phenomenal reasons to panic. There really are. Yeah. But it's just not a way to live life. And, I mean, I imagine if I was about to do a stand-up routine and I was living my life panicking at everything, it would be really difficult for me to deliver a joke. But I think the difference would be immeasurable if I was living my life not worrying so much.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I think that's... Maybe they didn't tell it in the strongest way. I would definitely agree with that, but I think that's what they were going for.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe not the strongest character. Some of the... I don't know. I think some of the weaker moments are like with some of the jokes, like Crush and Sun. I never like they ended up becoming like some of the most popular characters from the series, but like they're barely in the movie, if only because they were like plastered all over the trailer and stuff like that. It's like, oh look, this sea turtle talks like someone from South Beach. How quaint. It's like, you know, I never really enjoyed him as a character. I just thought like, oh, there's a throwaway plot device to make jokes for the kids and eventually open an attraction to Disney World that talks to you.
The attraction's amazing.
I was in Disney World like 9 years ago, and that was the one attraction I remember at Epcot that they added. It was a little awkward because...
Okay, yeah, it is awkward, but
it's awkward because the kid, this weirdo kid who, like, I could tell was, like on the brainy side of things was, like, and this is exactly what happened. He was, like, I think he asked, like, where Crush's parents were or something like that. He's like, is your mom something, like, and Crush is like, what happened to her? And, you know, like, the animator gave him, like, a concerned look or something like that. And then something, talked with Crush more. And then I think Crush brought up his shell or something like that. He was, like, talking about a sea turtle shell. And I remember the kid said verbatim, like, I think it's like a door. And then Crush goes, a door? I don't even know what that is, dude! It was so awkward and stupid, and there was, 14-year-old me being like, oh, can't we just go drink?
Dude, I mean, I get it. It's tough, but I don't think I've ever cringed more to a Disney attraction than Aladdin Live in Disneyland.
Oh,
yeah. It was 90% the genie sass, where I blocked most of it from my memory. I just remember.
Were you there when Jasmine ran to the back of the stage?
No, I wasn't. Here are the top three cringeworthy things I remember from to go on a real diversion here from Aladdin in Disneyland. 1, the very first line the genie said. Aladdin said, "What are you, some genie?" And the genie went, "No, I'm just Justin Bieber in 10 years. I went,
what? That doesn't make sense.
At one point, it was after a big musical number, and all the actors were removing the props that were on stage because they had to scene transition, and one of them was taking an umbrella. And the genie went, "Hey, come back with my umbrella! Ella, hey, hey, hey!"
Was this show also in 2009?
It was like 3 years ago. And then the other thing I remember is the genie saying this line that I'll never forget. All of them
come from the genie. Interesting.
They're all from the genie. The genie said, "Step to the left, honey, 'cause you ain't right." And my family and I don't see eye to eye on a lot of things, but they can at least acknowledge that I am a bit of a critic when it comes to art. And they knew, like, very shortly into this production, they knew that I hated it. And so when we walked...
How did you know when you hated it?
I knew I hated it almost immediately. But when we walked out of that production, it was silence for 5 minutes because no one wanted to start talking about it because they knew that I hated it. I was seething. Like, I was just wearing this smirk, like, yeah, like, that was horrible.
I can sort of relate because if you at Hollywood Studios in Disney World, they have maybe they don't anymore. For all I know, they have the Beauty and the Beast live.
Yeah,
and it's just why do you need a live stage production of a movie. It's not even like the Broadway version.
No,
it's just
it's watered down.
It's a watered down, diluted version of the movie that lasts 15, 20 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
And it's just I could be riding rides or eating food, but no, I'm here or watching the Indiana Jones stunt spectacular, which is actually exciting. When the person isn't getting killed. But no, I'm here watching a watered down version of a movie that I love that I'd much rather watch the movie version of.
My whole family really loves that. I think especially my dad. And as
The Beauty and the Beast Live?
Yeah, and I love the movie
So
Beauty.
does my family, and I can't stand it.
I love the movie Beauty and the Beast. So they're just obvious things that they gloss over. This is stupid.
Yep.
Because to condense it to be a 20, 30-minute spectacular,
Yeah.
they have to cut out things
Yeah.
that really develop the movie.
Like
you know what I mean?
I remember they segue into something there by being like, Belle's like, you should apologize to the Beast, and then the Beast is like, "Ugh,
And listen,
I apologize.
I cannot get over the fact that the enchanted objects are literally taller than Belle. It's horrifying.
They are. Yeah,
so
never
creepy
mind
to look at.
actors playing, Lumiere or Cogsworth or Mrs. Potts or whoever, but no, they're like big mesh Disney characters, and like, the charm is lost.
Given Brandon, I will take that any day over hyper-realistic objects in the live-action movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I didn't think they were as bad as other people did, but come on.
Yes.
Come on.
So, Fantasia wins?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Finding Nemo
point
is an
me.
amazing movie.
I agree. I agree.
I wouldn't even really say it's
Not my favorite Pixar
an
movie,
interesting
but
thing.
an amazing movie.
I remember realizing about Finding Nemo is that really the only creative thing about it is that it's oceanic and that it has oceanic characters. Because you could have that story with people, and it's just people looking for someone and running into characters.
What about a land-based thing with animals? Like, what if it's in the jungle or the savannah or something?
I guess it'd be marginally the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But really, what made that movie unique was just the fact that they were fish, really. In terms of an actual story, it's a great story, and I think it's unique enough. I feel like there are definitely stories about, oh, this person's missing, we'll do anything to find them. I'm sure a lot of detective movies. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It cannot be that original, but it is impressive that it felt that way. You know what I mean? I think it's impressive in that way. So I really would have a hard time knocking Finding Nemo 2, but comparing the two of them, Fantasia just feels like it did a little bit more. It just went the distance a little bit more than Finding Nemo. They both had an impact, but I think Fantasia's is a little higher. So that was a tough matchup.
Yeah.
But there you go. Hi, we're interrupting this stimulating conversation to say that this podcast has gone on much too long, so we're splitting this into 2 parts.
2 parts.
So, play us out. Fuck yeah, this week music.
I got it! Son of a bitch!